are rippin and tearin junk wax. We have Fleer 92, 93 basketball cards with some inserts like NBA All-Stars, Pro Visions, and League Leaders. And then there are some inserts for Larry Johnson, Rookie of the Year cards. So, if you managed to watch our debut video for the channel, these were our big 3 hits from the first 5 packs that we opened. And, of course, with this being junk wax, really the epitome of a junk wax, the Larry Bird card is worth $1 on average. The Jordan MVP card is only $1.50, and the Sir Charles Barkley is only about 40 cents. So yeah, definitely junk wax, but it's still fun to open up and reminisce and see some of the older players. For example, there was a player I pulled as well that I was not familiar with. This guy. I had no idea who he was, and when I was looking at the back, I saw that it mentioned that he was the first NBA player to come out as the former Soviet Union. So then I brought up Andrei Karolinko, but yeah, I looked into him a little bit more. He's actually from Lithuania, and he is responsible for bringing the Euro step to the NBA, which is pretty awesome, right? And this is kind of why it's cool to pull the junk wax. You get familiar with some things that you might have missed previously. So this guy brought the Euro step to the NBA, and the Euro step is pretty much in every single NBA player's arsenal now. It's like a go-to move for everyone. So he had a huge impact on the game. And I watched some of his clips. The dude was legit. And you can see, 91, 92, he averaged 18 points a game. Pretty crazy. And he also had another go-to move where, as he's going up for a layup, he would put the ball behind his back. Right before, as he's taking his 2 steps, he'd need to go behind the back and then launch for his layup. Dude was super athletic. You should go check out his highlights. It's pretty impressive. So that was kind of cool to see. So we're continuing on, ripping and tearing the packs. We have another 5 to go through tonight, and we'll keep going through for the sake of content. I'll keep going through 5 every time. So I'm glad that you guys came back. I'm thrilled to have you here. Please do make sure you like and subscribe. Leave any comments, any feedback you have for me. And as always, this is an ASMR video. That's why I'm whispering. So you don't have to leave comments asking why I'm whispering. It's for ASMR content. And I just love ripping and tearing, especially junk wax. So usually the ASMR channels I have a theme, so I'm just going with basketball cards, and we're just starting it with the junk wax. So, but I like to chew the gum here, Airheads gum, for the sake of the ASMR to give extra tingles. So. Started with the rippin and the tearin. positions. It's Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway is a really good player. Bay Area's best, it says. He was drafted in the first round in 1989, 14th overall. Completed his third NBA season in 91-92, but no less an authority than Isaiah Thomas stamped him as the point guard of the future. He's got a nice game, Thomas said after a contest. Every move I've ever had, he's got. And he's doing pretty good, too. Sacramento Kings director of player personnel, Jerry Reynolds, agrees with Thomas. Hardaway is a point guard who's turned into a dominant player, Reynolds said. I don't think anyone can guard him. Hardaway plays 6th in the NBA in scoring, 23.4 points per game, and 3rd in assists, 10 per game, so averaging a double-double. Tim's 164 steals allowed him to become the 5th player in NBA history to place in the top 10 in scoring, assists, and steals in the same season. Hardaway came to Golden State as an unheralded draft choice in '89 out of the University of Texas, El Paso. Since then, simply became the Bay Area's best player. So, I guess, since it's an insert, we'll consider it a hit. Willie Burton. Olden Polynice. Hey, there we go. There's one for the BC. That's a hit. Scottie Pippen schoolyard. That should be interesting on the back. All around play. While being able to do one thing very well is important, mastering all aspects of your job makes you a star. Scottie Pippen is now recognized as one of the superstars in the NBA because he performs every part of a basketball player's job at a very high level. On offense, he can score 21 points per game. He can pass 7 assists per game and keep possessions alive by hitting the offensive boards. On defense, he can make steals, block shots, and end opposing possessions by hitting the defensive boards. Pippen has made himself into a complete player by working on all different aspects of his game. Even though it is more fun for any player to work on what he naturally does well, Pippen puts in the extra time and work to make sure there is nothing he doesn't do well. Schoolyard tips. Stay on your toes. Don't be caught flat-footed. Choose a weakness in your game and work on it. These schoolyard tips are so blatantly obvious. You think they maybe could have quoted him or something about, what advice would he have to kids or something like that. That would have made it a lot more impactful, but these are pretty standard. Regardless, it's Pippen in a Bulls jersey, so I'll take it. Vernon Maxwell. Oh, there we go. This is good. David Robinson. The Admiral became the first player in league history to finish a season among the top 5 in rebounding, steals, blocks. He also became the Spurs' all-time leader in block shots, while being named to the U.S. Olympic Dream Team that will compete in Barcelona. 31.4 points per game, 19 per game, combining rebounds and assists. It's odd that they combine that together there. You see that? They combine rebound and assists. I wish they didn't do that. But I guess we have 3 hits there. Not bad. On to the next pack. up at the same restaurant as George Karl. And they both saw each other, but George Karl did not come over and greet Jordan. And because Jordan takes everything personally, he said that was enough to make him angry, because they're both North Carolina guys and we're pretty good friends, I guess. And the fact that he didn't come over and say hi and talk to him, he thought it was disrespectful. So the story goes that Jordan used that to motivate himself for the next game and dominated. And George Karl, everybody asked him, like, "Oh, is this true? Did you really do that?" Because it just seems like a ridiculous story for Jordan to say that's what motivated him. But George Karl said, "Yeah, it's true," because one of the coaches, I think he was even George Karl, I don't think it was his assistant, but I think he had mentioned, you don't want to give MJ any ammunition, you don't want to give him anything to be angry about, because he's one of the players that plays really, really well when he's pissed off about something. So they made it a point for their team to don't talk trash, don't do anything related to something, don't say anything stupid to the reporters. Like, he made it a huge point to the team not to do something to piss him off, because it would be that much harder to beat the Bulls. And just going to the restaurant and not saying hi to Jordan, that was it. So, like, the guy that instilled the rule for the team to watch out was the one that actually messed it up. So I thought that was an interesting story, the documentary. Buck Williams, Phil Jackson, there we go, for the BC, coach of the Bulls. Scholar, coach, and innovator. Those are the three words that come to mind when thinking of Bulls. Chicago Bulls, Phil Jackson. The man who definitely marches to the beat of his own drum, has taken his team to 2 NBA championships in the last 2 seasons. In the 89-90 season, his first year as head coach of the Bulls after 2 years as an assistant, he led the team to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Philosopher's 3-year record at Chicago is 183-63, which translates into a stellar 74.4% winning percentage, and makes him the second winningest coach in Bulls history. The 92 NBA All-Star coach is a former CBA Coach of the Year and brought a CBA championship to the Albany Patroons in 1984. The key to his success is his knowledge of the game and his understanding of team concept. It took this self-proclaimed flower child, himself a player on an NBA championship squad while a New York Knick in 1973, to bring the proper role players around the game's preeminent superstar to forge a winner that just may be a dynasty. See, like, here's what's cool about Bull and Junk Wax too, is they weren't ready to label the Bulls a dynasty yet. And then, of course, they turned into one of the best dynasties ever in modern sports history, right? So, like, that just may be a dynasty. They weren't sure, but certainly turned out to be that way. Everybody had an inkling that maybe that would be the case. So, and this whole story too about how he got the job is pretty crazy when you watch the documentary. Like that, Doug Collins was doing really well with the Bulls, and got him deep into the playoffs too. But they just ended up firing him because they wanted to give Phil the job. So Phil and Doug Collins is, a very respectful man, and he didn't want to say anything bad about anybody involved, but you could pretty much tell that he realized while he was still coaching the Bulls that he was about to get fired for Phil, and there was nothing he could do about it, which is kind of crazy to be in that position. But you can't argue in Bulls management for the decision because it turned into 6 championships. So, but glad to get that for the BC. Greg Anthony. David Benoit, Paul Westphal, Larry Johnson. This looks like it's his base. It's not the Rookie of the Year insert. So this would be his second year card. The number 1 overall pick in the 91 NBA draft. Disappointed no one last season. He was a unanimous choice for 92 NBA Rookie of the Year after averaging 19.2 points and 11 rebounds per contest. The thickly muscled former run-in rebel and collegiate player of the year came into his own in the month of March, leading the Hornets to an 8-6 mark by averaging 22.6 points and pulling down 11.1 rebounds per game. I think if I remember correctly, his nickname was like Grandmama, something like that. And I remember like commercials for sneakers. He'd be like dressed up as a grandma. It was really weird. But he's a pretty good player. Used to pick him in NBA Jam sometimes. I guess we'll save that. Anthony Bowie. Derek Coleman. Cedric Ceballos. Chris Ford. Thurl Bailey. Doc Rivers. That's a guy from Chicago. He's well known for being a good coach now. Glenn Doc Rivers, a double-figure scorer over the last 8 years, is the all-time Atlanta Hawks leader in steals and assists. Out of Maywood, went to Marquette. A very successful coach now. Obviously, won a championship with the Celtics. Johnny Dawkins, John Koncak, and Brian Shaw. Alright, let's keep ripping and tearing. AC Green is a pretty good player too. Don't think it's a hit though. Don Nelson is an interesting guy. He had multiple coaching positions. This one just happened to be with the Warriors, but he's like best friends with Willie Nelson. Apparently, I saw like a special with him on what's that Bryant Gumbel show on HBO? It's like Real-Time Sports with Bryant Gumbel or something like that. I can't remember, but they did a piece on him and how he's like retired now and living out, I think, in like Hawaii. And his daughter and sheer ability to score at will has become as much of a weapon as the points themselves. Changing defenses of opposing teams and allowing teammates like Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant to develop into dangerous players in their own right. So, definitely a hit. You love to see it. And I'm sure it's only worth $1. Alright, Kendall Gill, another guy from Illinois. Chicago. Not a hit though. He does post-game analysis for the Bulls now. Rex Chapman. This guy's becoming a social media star. He's got a big following on Twitter. A lot of people love the content that he puts out there. A lot of it's like dogs, stuff about dogs being awesome and people doing good things and stuff like that. So, but he got really popular doing this blocker charge tweet where it's like someone running into something or getting knocked over or somehow just going about life, and then he posts the question, is this a block or a charge? And it's kind of funny videos of people not getting like injured, but just kind of making a play off of the basketball concept that people always argue whether it's a block or a charge. So out of Kentucky, if I remember correctly, yeah. I really doubted, like, he was supposed to be pretty good and didn't pan out. Although, his stats aren't bad. But yeah, he became a GM at 1.2 and then moved on from that. Dikembe Mutombo. The Nuggets. I guess this will be his second-year card then. I mean, yeah, I guess we could call this a hit. Moses Malone on the Bucks. At this point, I'm pretty sure he wasn't that great, but there's an awesome card there. Oh my god, it looks like it's damaged in the corner. I'll take a look at that in a second, but hey, look at, like, this is the back end of his career. It's well before my time, but I remember the name, and I seem to remember that he was really good with Philly. Yeah, that's a long time ago. Ageless. Yeah. So, here's a hit, but not sure what happened there. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but there's some extra black ink there on the Bulls logo. That sucks. I mean, there's a good chance I'll get a duplicate anyways, but it's a hit. Pippen, one of the game's purest athletes, has emerged over the past 2 seasons as one of the NBA's most complete players. In 91-92, he finished the year averaging 21 points, 7.68 rebounds, and 7 assists, 1.89 steals, and 1.13 blocks per game. Dude could do it all. He's a great player. He was voted, top 50. I remember when they did that celebration. set a single season record for assists in a season. Like, if it's a single season record, you don't have to reiterate the fact that it was assists in a season. But anyways, despite being an 11-year veteran, Thomas's game has not slowed a bit. In 91-92, he was named to the NBA All-Star team for the 11th straight season. So, we've already seen some of the guards reference about going to the Dream Team. They cover it in the documentary that, Jordan claims he had nothing to do with it, but the speculation is that Jordan refused to go on the Dream Team if Thomas was going to be there. And they go through the whole thing where the Bulls beat the Pistons finally in the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Pistons walk out before the game's over, don't shake anybody's hands, and that whole ordeal was a mess. So it was interesting to hear both perspectives, though, of what took place. But I guess because it's an insert, we'll say it's a hit. Manute Bol, oh man, his son's in the NBA right now too. It's his rookie year, Bol. So here's Manute. Talk about length, good lord. So 7'6", 225 pounds. Oh my god. The Sudanese swatter rejected at least 200 shots for the 7th straight season. Bol, whose first name means special blessing, is the Sixers' designated rejector, altering games by his mere presence on the court. Oh man. Shot blocker. I mean, just look at his length. Oh my god. 7'6". What's scary is that, like, Yao Ming, basically like the same height, but way more girth. Like, his weight was way more. This is crazy. I don't think it's a hit, though. I'd be surprised. None of them are worth anything, so what am I saying? Lenny Wilkins, the Cavs. He coached a lot of different teams. That one's with the Cavs. Dwayne Coswell and Derek McKee. I think I'm gonna re-up with the gum here. Kind of lost its flavor already. And I don't know if it's helping with the extra tingle, so we'll do another stick here. Take it and dunk it in my mouth. Okay. Let's get back to the rippin' and the tearin'. Smith. I already got this. Another duplicate. Willie Anderson. John Williams. Finally, like, someone dunking. A lot of these pictures are just dribbling. Xavier McDaniel. I just talked about this in the beginning. So another duplicate here. About this guy. Huge impact on the game. He brought the Euro step to the NBA. Eldon Campbell. J.D. Pickney. Mark Jackson. Marcus Liberty. Kevin Duckworth for like the 5th time. Cliff Livingston. I already got him. It's a duplicate. But Charlotte Observer asked readers to vote for the players they wanted the Hornets to pick. Dikembe Mutombo was the overwhelming choice. See, I didn't know this. Larry Johnson edged Billy Owens for second. Charlotte fans can thank the Hornets front office for not listening. The Hornets chose Johnson with the first pick, and he has been paying dividends ever since. Larry finished his first season 11th in the NBA in rebounding and averaged 19.7 points per game. Johnson has quickly developed into an NBA superstar, even to the point of getting his own commercial for a sneaker company featuring his grandmama. He easily captured the 92 NBA Rookie of the Year award. See, I was already talking about grandmama earlier. I remember that. Just because it was so strange to see this giant man in like a grandma outfit. So, you can now consider him one of the elite players in the league, and that special handful. Hornets coach Alan Bristow said, not only in how he's played, but how he's brought us in a new direction. It's not only his talent, it's his leadership. That rumbling in the Charlotte Coliseum these days is a Carolina Thunder, Larry Johnson in charge. So, that's the provisions insert. Larry Stewart and Mark Price with Kevin McHale in the background there. Alright. Last pack of the video. Looks like we're gonna have a good one in the back. Mark Aguirre. John Stockton, league leader. So, I already got the base Stockton, so here we go. Assist, steals leader, give and take. Pro's most prolific passer, John Stockton captured his 5th consecutive assist title by doling out 13.7 a game. Stockton, the only player in NBA history to log more than 2 seasons with 1,000 plus assists, dished out 15 or more assists on 31 occasions, and finished the season 4th place on the NBA all-time career assist list. He has the highest single season assist total, 1,164 assists. He holds the league record for the most assists in a 7-game playoff series with 115, and shares with Irvin Magic Johnson the playoff record for most dishes in a single game at 24. As generous as he is with his teammates, Utah's version of Robin Hood. That's weird. Again, who is writing this? Anyways, Utah's version of Robin Hood is tireless in his picking of opponents' pockets. He snatched the 91-92 steals crown, edging out Indiana's Michael Williams on the last day of the season to finish with 2.96 steals per game average. The Gonzaga grad is already first on the franchise all-time assists and steals list, and is a 4-time NBA All-Star. But Karl Malone's post office will go international this summer as a member of the U.S. Olympic Dream Team in Barcelona. So, it's an insert, so we'll say it's a hit. Tim Hardaway base, got the provisions of him. That's probably more of a hit than his base here. But, like I said, pretty good player. I remember he's pretty well known for, I think they call it like a killer crossover or something like that, where he would start it by going through his legs and then in one direction and then cross over in front the other direction. He tried to make it like his go-to move that he was known for, and it would work from time to time, but in my opinion, I feel like Allen Iverson, at the time, like Allen Iverson, well, I guess he wasn't in the league yet, that was late 90s, but Allen Iverson's crossover, in my opinion, is better than Tim Hardaway's. Wayman Tisdale, John Battle, Mookie Blaylock, John Sally, Jerome Kersey, Kevin McHale, Hall of Famer, I believe. Oh, with Boston. McHale adjusted well to his role as the sixth man in the 91-92 season, placing fourth on the club with 13.9 points per game. Call it a hit since he's a Hall of Famer. Sam Mitchell, Dan Issel, Dan Marley. I was just talking about it in the other video. And it's just another good player on the Suns that helped them compete for a championship. They had Marley, Kevin Johnson, Charles Barkley, and Danny Ainge. Candidate for NBA's Sixth Man of the Year award for the past 2 seasons, Marley earned his first trip to the NBA All-Star Game last year. For this season, a flexible guard forward averaged 17.3 points, 5.9 rebounds, and 1.6 steals per contest in 91-92. So, Dominique Wilkins, let's go. I love it. It's a hit in my eyes. I love it. Neek was a phenomenal dunker. Oh my god. 7-time NBA All-Star, missed the last 40 games of the season because of a ruptured Achilles. Oh, brutal. You know, speaking of that, like, it seems to be a pretty common NBA injury now. And I saw something recently on Twitter that said it was like a study or something, like just data tracking statistics of NBA players after they tear their Achilles, and it's surprisingly not good. It's rare that a player performs as well as they used to after they rupture their Achilles. I don't know if there are any other circumstances, like which players they tracked. It could have been like maybe they tear their Achilles on the back end of their career, and that maybe that's a factor as to why they're playing worse. But I remember that caught my attention because Kevin Durant, tore his Achilles, and everyone's expecting him to be phenomenal again and team up with Kyrie and make an impact over there in Brooklyn. But I don't know, man. The data kind of shows that players don't bounce back that well from ruptured Achilles, so we'll see. But yeah, this is a hit. Love it. Gerald Wilkins, Donald Hodge, Jeff Hornacek, and David Robinson, insert award winner, Defensive Player of the Year. Although the 91-92 season was just the third of David Robinson's NBA career, he has already established himself as one of the top centers, if not the best in the game. Despite being sidelined for 6 weeks with a thumb injury, Robinson topped the league in block shots for the first time, finished 4th in rebounding, and was 7th in scoring. But what really showed is all-around athleticism. Okay, I apologize. I'm not sure what's going on with my camera, and I didn't catch where it cut off because it didn't beep at me. But we're in the last card of the last pack, so we got David Robinson as the very last card for Defensive Player of the Year. So I'm gonna have to definitely look into my camera and figure out what's going on there. But I think it has to do with the fact that I changed the format over to HD instead of like the AVC HD or whatever. So I think that's part of the factor here. I'll have to switch it back to the way it was before so we don't have these issues. I apologize for that. So why don't we recap the hits here? We got David Robinson, Dominique Wilkins, Kevin McHale, John Stockton, insert, Larry Johnson, insert, Provisions, insert, Isaiah Thomas, Max insert for Scottie Pippen. And Pro Vision's Tim Hardaway. Alright, so that'll do it for the second round of 92-93 Fleer Junk Wax. I do apologize for the interruptions in the video. I think we lost some of the cards there, but recap the hits, and I'll get it fixed for the next one. I don't do too much editing yet, so probably just gonna post it with these, with these mistakes in the video. But it's fine. I'm learning. I'll figure it out eventually. If you could like and subscribe still, it'd be greatly appreciated. We will be back again with more content here for Junk Wax. To go through this box of Fleer and then move on to something else. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was relaxing.